On 27 December 2022, the Commission sent you a request for submission of the 5-year declaration of assets and personal interests. On the 2nd of January of this year, you submitted your 5-year declaration. The Commission also asked candidates to voluntarily complete and submit an ethics questionnaire, and you did so on 1 August of last year. The Commission sent you 2 rounds of questions on 3rd February and 13 February respectively. You were asked a total number of 20 questions, including 54 subparts, and 25 of those questions included the request for further documentation. According to Article 3, Paragraph 4 of the Evaluation Rules of the Commission, a candidate may not provide information, documents, or other materials during the hearing if the Commission requested these earlier and the candidate did not provide them within the time specified, unless, of course, the candidate provides sufficient justification therefor. Members of the Commission will now start with asking you questions. I myself will start with asking questions first. We will try to keep our questions short and to the point, and we ask that your answers be short and to the point as well. I would like to raise 3 issues with you, all related to the purchase and sale of properties. And the first issue is the following. In 1999, you and your husband purchased a construction land of 0.06 hectare located in the Chișinău-Dulesti district. And we call it the Dulest 2007 property. In 2005, on this land, a 99.1 square meter individual house was registered. On 11 October 2007, according to the sale purchase contract, you and your husband sold this property for the price of 575,960 lei, around 33,500 euro. In response to a written question, however, you informed the Commission that this property was sold in 2007 for the actual price of 70,000 euros. In lei, that is 1.16 million lei. This price is more than double the price indicated officially in the contract. The Commission asked you to provide an explanation for the difference in price, but you were not able to do so. The price of 70,000 euro was not paid in full by the buyer. According to your information to the Commission, the buyer paid you 50,000 euro, so about 829,000 lei, in cash. The rest of the amount was paid for in the form of the transfer of a car, a Mercedes Model 270, owned by the same buyer. According to your Declaration of Assets and Personal Interests for 2017, provided to the Commission, you declared the value of this car, owned by your husband, to be 23,000 euros. You also informed the Commission that you and your husband in 2007 paid 3,000 euros for the car to the buyer of the property, as the remaining amount of the value of the car of 20,000 euro formed part of the purchase by the buyer of the property. You informed the Commission that in order to ensure the transfer of the car to you and your husband, a loan agreement was concluded between you and the buyer of the property on the same day, 11 October 2007, as the sale purchase contract for the property. I'll start with a few questions where we primarily try to confirm the facts, and then, of course, we can go into more detail. So my first question is it correct that in 1999 you purchased a plot of land for construction located in the Chișinău-Dulest district?
Yes, that is true.
Is it correct that you constructed a house on this plot of land, which was registered in 2005?
I can't remember exactly the day it was registered in the Register of Real Estate. However, we actually moved there in 2003 perhaps, or perhaps it was 2005 that the occupancy certificate was issued.
Okay,
but I can't remember now.
Yeah. Can you confirm that in 2007 you and your husband sold this property for the formal price in the sale purchase contract of 570,960 lei?
The house was sold for 70,000 euros, and the price in the contract was 557,960 lei.
Yeah. And so there is, as you can see, there is more than, the actual price was more than double the price of what was officially registered in the contract.
That was the negotiated amount, the amount that we negotiated, that is the seller and the buyer. To be honest, I really don't remember what were the grounds and what was the reason for going for that price, for putting down that price there for cadastral purposes in this sale and purchase agreement. Really, I have no further comments to add. I can't remember very well. 2007 was quite a complicated situation. There was a fire in our house, so it just happened what happened. The actual negotiated price was 70,000 euros. That's what we agreed on. 50,000 only was paid because the buyer didn't have that difference to pay the entire amount, so that's why we had the loan agreement. He suggested that we buy the car in exchange for the price, the leftover of the price, so to speak, and we accepted that, and that is all that I can say with regards to this matter.
So you do not recall exactly who actually took the initiative to put this price, the official price in the contracts?
I don't think it was our initiative. No, I don't remember with precision.
Yeah. But if we look at the tax code, Article 41 of the tax code that was in force at the time in 2007, then upon the sale, exchange, or other forms of alienation of a taxpayer's primary residence, the capital increase shall be recognized. And do you confirm that at that time when you sold that property in 2007, that you had to declare taxes on the capital increase over the sale of that property?
Considering that the value of the contract was above the value of the purchase, then yes, that should have been the case. There was supposed to be a tax return with the tax services, and thus taxes were supposed to be paid for the capital gain, yes.
And did you pay those taxes?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you then consider it ethical to agree upon the sale of a property and mention a price in the sale purchase contract that you are aware is not correct?
Now, if you're asking me about, in 2023, you're asking me about whether it was ethical to do this transaction in 2007 the way it was before. Now, if you ask me now, I believe it was not ethical, perhaps. But in those realities of Moldova, the socioeconomic realities of Moldova of 2007, that seemed to be fine. And that's why the further returns with the tax service over time, late, and there were also certain controls performed by the tax authorities, and they did not raise this as an issue. So if it is necessary to pay any taxes now, then we would pay these taxes and also cover all the other associated penalties, if that would be the case.
Do you have anything else to add to this issue? Anything to clarify in relation to this?
Nothing to add in this regard.
Okay. Then we move to the second issue, and that is the following. On the 1st of December 2010, you sold an apartment of 71.6 square meters located in Chisinau for the price of 395,200 lei, so about 24,000 euros, according to the sale purchase contract. You bought the apartment in 2007, and although you informed the Commission that no copy of the sale purchase contract was kept, you did inform also the Commission that the apartment was bought for the price of 395,127 lei. So that was almost the same price as it was sold 3 years later. According to information provided to the Commission by the Lara company, the market value for similar apartments at that time in 2010 was approximately 868,000 lei, so over 52,000 euro. And here again, more than twice the value mentioned officially in the sale purchase contract. Also about the difference in price, you informed the Commission that you had no information available to explain this price difference. Here come my questions. The First one, can you confirm that in 2007 you bought the 71.6 square meter apartment located in Chisinau for the price of 395,127 lei?
Yes, I confirm. About 25,000 euros we paid back that in the time when we bought it.
And can you confirm that on 1 December 2010, so about 3 years later, you sold this apartment for the contractual price of 395,200 lei?
Yes, I confirm.
How can you explain that the price you bought the apartment for in 2007 is almost identical to the price you sold it for in 2010?
I have no way to explain. It was the same price. We sold it for what we bought it. The apartment was bought in the condition that it was in 2007. We did no renovations whatsoever to that apartment. And the health condition of my husband was growing worse, and it was necessary to find a solution. And considering that there were some travel issues involved as well. So we were happy to sell that apartment for the price that we bought it for in that condition that that apartment was in. We did not do any renovations or changes to the apartment.
Okay. As you confirmed in relation to the sale of the dual-edged apartment in 2007, the actual price against which at the time the apartment was sold was much higher. Was this also the case in relation to this apartment?
Încă o dată vă rog dacă puteți să repetați întrebarea.
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. When we discussed the first apartment in 2007, then there was a discrepancy between the contractual price and the actual price that you sold the house for at that time. Was something similar taking place in relation to this apartment? In other words, was the contractual price also the actual price that you sold it for?
De fapt, apartamentul a fost cumpărat.
In fact, the apartment was bought for the price that I declared and was sold for the same amount that it was bought for in 2007. When it comes to the question of the Commission regarding the difference in price between the market value calculated by LARA and the contract value, well, I wouldn't focus that much on the market value because I believe LARA representatives did not see that apartment, and in 2022 or 2023 they cannot assess what the value of that asset could have been back in 2010, because an evaluator, if they say what the price should have been without having seen the asset, then I don't think that that is such an important price or comment to take into account. So I think that is a valid comment now of mine regarding this matter.
So the actual price that you sold it for was exactly the same as it was in the contract. There was no difference between the contractual price and the actual price you sold it for.
So 25,000 euros. The difference was a few euros.
Yeah.
Calculat la cursul de schimb a Băncii Naționale, cum face
We
Comisia.
performed the calculations for the NBM exchange rate, so if you use that as a rate, then it's a few euros difference.
Anything else you would like to clarify in relation to this apartment?
Nu am ce comenta suplimentar.
Nothing else to add further.
Okay, thank you. Then we move to the third issue that I would like to raise with you, and that relates to the sub-evaluated price and financial sources for a purchase of a dual-edged property in 2012. So on the 20th of January 2012, you and your husband purchased a construction land of 0.029 hectare. And on that construction land there was a house located of 87.3 square meters. According to the sale purchase contract, the property was bought for the official price of 863,893 lei, so around 56,000 euros. However, also here you informed the Commission that the actual price paid for this property was 65,000 euros, and that means around 10,000 euros more than the price indicated in the contract. Also here asked about the difference between the actual price of 65,000 and the contractual price of, let's say, 56,000 euros. You stated that, and I quote, "The value of the contract is the value of the property determined for tax purposes as indicated by the seller at the conclusion of the contract. There is no other explanation." Going on here, you informed the Commission that 3 sources of funds were used to buy this property, and you provided a number of supportive documents for these sources. The first of those 3 was the copy of a deposit agreement of the 1st of December 2010, and according to this contract, your husband made a deposit at a bank in Chisinau in the amount of 50,000 euros. The second form, or the second source of funds, were 2 contracts relating to a World Bank competitiveness project for consulting services. One on 6 April 2010 for the amount of 11,990 euros, and one contract of 24 August 2011 for the amount of 9,980 euros. And the third source of funds you referred to was a mortgage loan contracted from a bank in Chisinau in the amount of 26,000 euros. You also informed the Commission that the following 2 sources of funds were used to make for the deposit of 50,000 euros. The first one was the sale of the Chisinau apartment on 1 December 2010 that we just discussed, the price of 395,000 lei. And the second was, the second source for the deposit were the total savings and incomes of you and your husband made over the previous years. According to data from the State Fiscal Services, during the years 2007 to 2010, you and your husband had a total net income of 578,091 lei. As the annual minimum daily expenditures for you and your family for the same years was around 250,000 lei, this would leave you with a net income of, let's say, 327,000 lei. If the contractual selling price for the Chisinau apartment in December of 395,000 lei will be added, a total amount of 722,000 lei, so approximately 44,000 euros, would remain. So based on the documentation provided by you and the data from the State Fiscal Service, you and your husband would have been able to deposit approximately maximally 44,000 euros rather than the actual deposit of 50,000 euros. Here come my questions again. Can you confirm that you and your husband purchased a construction land of 0.029 hectare and an 87.3 square meter house in January 2012 in Chisinau Dulles district for the contractual price of 863,893 lei?
The house was purchased on 20th of January 2012 alongside with the land for 65,000 euros.
Yeah, and that is exactly what you also informed the Commission. So here again we see a difference of 10,000 between what the contractual price said and what the actual price was. And you also explained that to the Commission. I just wanted to get it reconfirmed that you explained that the value of the contract is the value of the property determined for tax purposes as indicated by the seller at the conclusion of the contract. That is correct that you mentioned that.
Yes, the sellers of the asset alongside with the land, they insisted on having that price on the contract because they were residents of citizens of Moldova, but they were about to migrate out of the country, and they needed the owner, the husband in that particular family. As far as I can remember, he was a civil servant or something like that, and he insisted on having that price in the sale and purchase agreement, and ultimately we did not disagree.
You purchased this land and construction with 3 sources of funds, as we discussed: a deposit of 50,000, your consultancy contracts and the loan of 26,000 euros. That's correct?
Nu neapărat.
Not necessarily. So, first of all, there was a contract, the 26,000 euros, there was a contracted credit from the bank. And then we had our resources from the bank as well, and they were related to that deposit account with that financial institution.
And so the deposit of 50,000 euros was financed by the sale of the Chișinău apartment and by the income you and your husband had collected over the years.
Contractul de depozit a fost încheiat.
The deposit agreement was concluded on December 1st, 2010, when the apartment was sold. So if we look at that, at the date of the sale and purchase agreement, if we look at that, you will see that it is identical with the date on which the deposit contract was signed. In addition to that money, obviously, we also had some savings set aside. And we did not, these were savings not only throughout 2007 to 2010. We've been saving money since forever. However, what I was able to confirm as sources of that deposit were also, the documentation that I already made available to the Commission. They also serve as sources, that is, revenue out of the professional activity professional worker was doing, and also savings we've been putting aside over time, because I've been working since 1997, and it doesn't mean I didn't have money or earnings in that time, and I myself and my husband also worked, and this allowed us to put aside some money, to save some money, and on that day to make that deposit worth that amount, because indeed we had the intention to buy a house.
Okay, good. So here again we have the question that we have a discrepancy between the contractual price of a house and the actual price. So the question that I had earlier, I would like to raise again with you is, do you consider it ethical to agree upon a sale of a property and mention a price in such a contract if you are aware that that price is not correct?
Eu cred că răspunsul la
I think the answer to the previous question with regards to whether it was ethical or not to provide for a different value in the contract regarding that house in Durlești on Renașterii Street, I think it's the same answer. The same answer is also true for this question.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything else to add to this question?
Eu întrebări nu am, mulțumesc.
No, I don't have any questions, and I don't have any comments to make.
Okay, thank you. That is for my questions. I would like to pass on now to Tatiana Raducanu for some follow-up questions. Thank you very much.
Bună ziua!
Greetings. I will address the I will address with you the issue of a Dacia Logan. In your 2017 annual declaration provided to the Commission, you declared that the value of a Dacia Logan, manufactured in 2008, purchased in 2015, while you declared the amount of 239 euros, that is 5,000 lei. According to the information on the 999 platform, similar cars listed on that platform in 2023, that is 7 years later than the year in which you purchased the cars, so these cars would be on sale for a value between 1,300 euros and 4,700 euros. And these prices are at a minimum five times higher, and thus the price you declared to the Commission seems much lower than the market price. You submitted the sale and purchase agreement of 2015, and according to that agreement, the purchase price was 5,000 lei. In your response to the questions of the Commission, you explained that the vehicle had been used all the time between 2008 and 2014 by the former owner as a taxi. And you said that the car was in a poor condition and that your husband had to do repairs for this car and also had to change the engine. Nevertheless, you did not provide any supporting documentation in that regard. On the 26th of November 2019, this car was passed on into the ownership of your son. Although it appears that there were repairs and renovations, in the sale purchase agreement with your son, the value of renovations was declared to also be, regardless of that, 5,000 lei.
Întrebările. Puteți confirma că valoarea autoturismului Dacia Logan
Questions. Can you confirm that you declare the value of the car Dacia Logan, manufactured in 2008, that you declared in your 2017 declaration? Can you confirm it was 5,000 lei? I confirm. Can you confirm that the price was due to the condition of the car when it was purchased? That is, it had been used like a taxi and required to be repaired. Yes, if the Commission would have asked the Public Services Agency, they would have seen that between 2008 and 2014, that car has indeed been rented out to a business providing taxi services, and that car had indeed been used over the years by that particular business company providing taxi services, and was using for the purposes of taxi services. And it is known, we don't have to even prove the fact that when you buy a new car out of a car dealership, as soon as it gets out of the car dealership, its value already falls by at least 30%. That's one thing to mention. And another thing is using a car as a taxi for transportation of people on an everyday basis. That means the wear and tear is much higher compared to another average car that is not used for taxi purposes. Also considering the quality of the roads in Moldova and Chișinău municipality. So in that time, the wear and tear of such vehicles was very high. As for the condition of this car when we bought it, it's very easy to say that it was just there in a very poor, deteriorated condition, not being in use at the time, and the inside of it was also not in a good condition. So when we purchased it, we paid that amount that was put down in the contract, 5,000 lei. Then we had to do all this refurbishment and repairs to put it in a good condition. And as far as my husband told me, he did a lot of changes inside of it, and also the engine was replaced. And I also suggested the Commission to actually ask the Public Services Agency about it, and the Commission would have been told and confirmed the fact that the engine was replaced, because at that time, in those years, this was something that was supposed to be officially registered in the Registry of Transportation Vehicles. And because I didn't have too much time, only 4 days, I had only 4 days to provide the answers to the questions. For that reason, I was not able to request myself that information, given that we are not even the owners anymore of that car. So it was still, if the Law 26 allows the Commission to ask authorities for any sort of information, then the Commission could have done it and could have checked this information.
Can you confirm that you did not provide any documentation that would prove the costs related to repairs and refurbishment? Of course, I did not provide any documentation because we didn't keep it, and we did not have a need to keep it when we were making the changes regarding the car, because I did not know at that time that in 2022 I was going to apply for the SCM and I would have to submit such documentation. Could you please confirm that the car, after these repairs and refurbishment, was sold to your son for the same amount of 5,000 lei 4 years later, in 2019? That was my husband's option when he decided to make this transaction towards the son, because in 2019 he was not moving on his own anymore, and in our neighborhood there is a car registration office, and it was much easier for them to go to that vehicle registration office and make the transaction. This is the explanation. And with transaction we mentioned the precise amount for which we purchased it. The limit was just a formality. Could you explain why cars of same model, same manufacturing year are now on market for sale for amounts from 1,300 to 4,600 euros, at least 5 times or almost 20 times higher than the price that you mentioned of 500. Well, that is the rule of market economy, supply and demand. The one who sells makes the supply, the offer, and the ones who buy decide. So the value of the car, I explained in 2015 why the value was it is because I believe a Dacia manufactured in 2008 after being used for taxi purposes will be cheaper in 2023 than 5,000 lei in the condition that it had back then. Last question. Who had the initiative to mention that 5,000 lei price in the contract? Why this amount was chosen? I think I answered this question. Do you want to say anything additionally about this? I have nothing to comment additionally. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm looking around at my colleagues. Are there any other colleagues who would like to have any questions? Yeah, there you go.
Ms. Popil, please confirm. In case of when you were purchasing the real estate in 2012, the obligation to pay the tax was on the seller. Yes, it was. And the one who had the initiative to decrease the amount was the seller. It was a family who was selling the house. Thank you, that's all.
If there are no other questions, then I would like to give you the opportunity to make a brief closing statement if you would like to do so. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I don't have too many things to comment regarding this exercise. Honestly, it's obvious that the country needs rapid intervention in the justice sector in this field in order to make it possible to conduct genuine reforms that we all desire. Unfortunately, I expected that this exercise would be much faster and to focus on other things. For me, for instance, it's the person, the human in front of me that matters, not so much the papers. Because it is difficult to draw a conclusion about the ethical or financial integrity of a person in the situation when the emphasis is different from the reality of Moldova. We have been living and we still live in the country where we live. Probably that's why our situation is like this, because that's our lifestyle. Otherwise, I don't know what to say. I was forced to use time in order, time that I should have offered my family, families of my sisters, of my family members, to justify things that are obvious and to prove a commission that the information that it requires is available to the commission, and the only thing that was necessary, it was a click away for the commission to find answers to that information. Once more, I understood that it's good to keep, like our grandmothers did, to keep all the papers, including all the receipts when we make some purchases or when we sell something, because as it seems, it can happen that we come in front of a commission once and then we have to give answers what we were doing 15 years ago. So on this occasion, I admit I did some cleaning around documentation at home, and I saw that some of the aspects that the Commission was raising during the question round could have been better organized and better arranged. So otherwise, I don't know what to comment on. I think that for me, this evaluation left me with a very clear conclusion, more of a question. What do we actually want? Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you very much. And with your comments, we come to the end of the hearing. I thank you for being with us this afternoon and answering the questions that we had for you. The Commission will now withdraw for deliberations, and as much as possible, we will strive at delivering a decision in your case within a month after the date of the hearing. I hereby declare this hearing closed, and thank you again.
Thank you very much.